Claudia. Good morning.
Good morning.
Long time. We have not done this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Gosh, how long has it been? I don't even remember.
You know, Claudia, it's
Months.
one of the things I might touch on, or we might touch on today, is just like
Time.
time. I mean, what is time? It doesn't seem to be a reality in my world anymore.
No, it doesn't.
I'm sitting here and it's just dawning right now. There's some pink clouds outside, and I seem to be on European time since I wake up about 2:30 or 3 every morning. And
right.
it's a good time of day, though. It's a really good time to deep and go contemplating. So Claudia and I, when we record things, sometimes we do plan out what we're going to talk about, but today's not one of them. And it's been a long time since we recorded something. So for me, Claudia, I would like to introduce us again. And the reason I say that is because you and I, along with many others, have gone through a very deep process over the last many months. Can't even say how many it is now. And in our conversations in private, in conversations with others, I have found myself going much, much deeper in the more subtle fields. And while you're looking at Claudia Corellia or Christine Aureo sitting here speaking with you, you're also, if you can see and hear, there is an energy that's very unique to each of us. I had the great gift of, after all these years, Claudia, being able to deepen into your field. And I know people sometimes wonder why I talk so much and you don't talk so much, right? Right? And I think we've often wondered that ourselves without ever giving voice to it. But this is a message for all of us because we are moving into the much more subtle energy fields right now. This is everything to do with the cosmic streams, the proton fields, the shiftings that are going on our Earth realm right now. And so if I could give a description, what I found in, I don't know how to say it, Claudia, because it was so real and it was so profound, was to find myself in your deep midnight blue field. And it's very vast, and it's almost as if it's holding something so vast and sacred. And then I look at myself and I go, well, I'm glitter girl, right? I'm like little sparks of light, I mean, it's like a lot of joy. There's a lot of inspiration, a lot of creativity. But for anything to manifest, we have to build a complete field. And Claudia and I have been blessed with our friendship for many years. And so thank you, Claudia.
Thank you.
And in saying that, I want to express gratitude, for this is really a key for all of us. And this goes out to everyone I've ever known, for everyone whose path I've crossed, for those who have been close to me, for those who have seen me as enemy. It's as if, no, it's not is, it is. Okay? This is how we, the people, come to a place of unity, when we can put down our prejudice, our beliefs, our overlays, our maps, and all things that we think are our truth, and we can finally come to the origin, the original self. For we all came from the same place. And I know this is the message of the moment on the planet. I know that if we cannot do this, those things that seem outside of us, such as the 5G smart grid, such as the war machine, such as the political theater, all of these things that continuously grab our attention and pull us off our center. If we are not able to find self within self within self, because once we're there, you're everywhere. Once you're there, everyone and everything is you. It's like that drop in the ocean. It's what all mystics, which all mystery schools have been teaching throughout the ages. And I believe This is a belief. No, it's not. I'm sorry. I'm going to correct myself. I can err and correct. It's my gnosis. It's my deepening gnosis. It's not just knowledge. Knowledge is a whole bunch of stuff that we learn. All right. It can be resounding truths. It can be ephemeral. It can be misdirects. It can be misbeliefs. It can be indoctrination. It's still knowledge. They're all the bits and pieces of information that we are flooded with. We're flooded with them from the media, but we're also being flooded with them inside ourselves right now. So how do we, you, I, how does one come to gnosis? How does one stand in their own truth? I think that's what I want to talk about today, Claudia.
Yeah. It's cool because, I mean, as you know, for the past 3-4 months, it's something that I've been looking into at probably the deepest level ever. Is this better?
That's much better. Thank you.
Okay. For the past 2, 3, maybe 4 months, I've been going deeper into this getting to know yourself. And it wasn't that one day I woke up and said, right, I need to get to know myself for real now. It wasn't like that at all. I picked up an interest that I came across because the universe sent it my way, basically. I mean, I don't believe in incidents or anything like that, or coincidences. And the more I learned, the more it taught me that there's, oh my God, so much to learn about myself that I still react when I make a mistake or when I have a success. And that there's still a lot of programming. And I guess, thankfully, I've long ago reached the stage where I can just laugh about it. Because, you know, sometimes I think, oh, I lost so much more programming than most people. And then, of course, it hits me. Bang, there you go. There's your programming. Now work on that one. And it's like, it can either be a huge, huge struggle, and I think many people make it that, or it can be an adventure.
Mm-hmm.
And if you choose for it to be an adventure, then it's a lot easier, because a struggle is never fun, and there's always a level of struggle involved in it.
Mm-hmm.
Because you get thrown sideways more often than you care for. If you see it as an adventure, and at the end of it you can see that you'll come out more whole, more you, then it's so worth it.
Beyond your wildest dreams, I will add. Beyond your wildest dreams. And it's a good point just to touch on, Claudia, because what struggles? Spirit doesn't struggle.
No.
The
ego does.
Exactly. Exactly. And that is exactly when you see that struggle, you know immediately, if you're self-observant, that it is the ego dying. It's the ego dying. Love is annihilation. Love is actually annihilation of the ego. That doesn't mean you lose your identity, though. That's the beauty.
Not at all. Not at all.
You know, I'm just this sitting here right now in this particular body in this cross section of time and space. That's all I am. And this is going to bring up something you can share if you would like to, Claudia. Ever since April 1st, Easter Sunday, full moon, when my mother passed away, okay, and I've written about it, she passed in bliss. She passed in joy, acceptance, with tears running down her eyes, saying, I am so full of love. And that letting go, or watching her let go, was profound, not in the way of grief or sorrow, because it was her time. And however, that set up a chain of events in my life that I did not know were going to happen. And it's come to this place, I will say, on August 29th, with the birth of a second granddaughter. named Olivia, right? I look at that stream of time where I was challenged to let go of everything. I watched my world come undone once again. I am on my 7th undoing in this one lifetime. And this time it took me all the way down and back up again. And it was like riding tsunami wave after tsunami wave after tsunami wave. And I'd come up to a great height and then I would be thrown back down into the depths. And it's an interesting something to try to put to words. It doesn't come easily. It's an experiential. And yet, this is the paradox for me right now. As much as the sorrow churned me, as deep as I went, as far down as I went, struggling to even have a breath, it was nothing compared to coming up to a height and bearing the light. I don't know how to describe it. I really don't, Claudia. I think I've tried to describe it to you.
No, I get it on, I don't know, on an energetic level. But yes. I don't think I could find any words for it.
Right. And, I know Claudia suffered personal losses, the same thing. And this I want to speak to anyone that might be hearing us that has been through a similar process. As these veils, okay, because at first it's like breaking down brick walls. It's like taking out a sledgehammer and just hammering away at it until the thickness falls away. And yet then you find yourself in these more subtle realms. And they're still within those weave, okay, we could call it the gossamer weave of veiling, you find dark threads. So it's a continuous process. This is not something that you just get there and then it ends. It goes on.
No,
and
it's
on.
Continuous.
It is. And I feel many, many on the planet have been called. Many have answered the call. And in some way, there is an aspect of our connectivity that I call communion. There are many on the planet who I will say I'm in communion with. I have not crossed a physical path with them. I have not even had a word with them. I have not shared anything other than an energetic connection, but we recognize it. We recognize it. Because once you've recognized it in yourself, you will recognize it in another. Mm-hmm. And for me, this is like the primordial, because it does go back to primordial self, is how we as humanity, those of us who chose to come here, I mean, that's got to be the first recognition from anybody that has been put through heavy duty programming, MK Ultra, satanic ritual views, all of these, the most horrific of horrific practices. If you have been touched by that, or if the memories of it being done to you have surfaced, you start to realize, I chose it. Mm-hmm. I chose it.
Yeah.
And then it's up to each individual to find out why they chose it. Because if we're still in victim programming, we're not going to get there.
Well, that's exactly it. I think the reason that so many of us have been subjected to, call it SIA or MK Ultra or extreme programming, is because as long as we are in victim mode, we will not know why we are here. Mm-hmm. Because we are too busy focusing on being the victim. And I think that's probably the hardest part to get through or to get over, to overcome. Mm-hmm. Because once you overcome that, the knowing gnosis that you are not the victim, then a whole new world opens up. Mm-hmm. I mean, I can not only speak for myself, because I've seen it happen so many times with so many people. Mm-hmm. As soon as you're over the victim mode, and that is why you've been targeted in the first place, in order to instill that victim mode, because everyone on the presumed other side knows that as long as you're a victim, you are powerless. And our power is what they are most afraid of. Because once we have the upper hand, and eventually we will, and that is not to say that the so-called they are the enemy at all. I mean, at the end, we all come from the same source. And whilst we may not have a clue who had the absolutely ridiculous idea to start this game that we're playing here on Earth, you know, we are all one at the end of the day. They are not our enemies. They just happen to be the other players, the players of the other team.
It's a very nice way to put it, Claudia. And, you know, I was going back to a little bit to just clarify on what I said about not being victim, that we chose. You see, I have memory of my entry into this body, and I've been blessed with a lot of memory. And it's ongoing. I mean, my memory fields are coming back to me again and again and again. And as they come back in, they're not just staying out there, like out in these separate spaces. I'm collapsing them back into me, right? They're a part of me. They never were not part of me. In a real way, they're happening simultaneously. And so when I took this particular form in this particular body, I had full recall coming in through the birth canal of what I had taken on. The minute, and I wanted out. I mean, believe me, I wanted out immediately. I remember me trying to leave. I turned breech. They had to pull me out with forceps, you know. But however, when you hit this realm, okay, you hit this plane, really, the first thing that happens is you lose that memory, right? And because if
you do hit it.
Yeah,
I totally agree.
Yeah, bam, right? And so it's not as if us in our physical form body right now, you know, we didn't choose to be abused. We didn't choose to go through these horrific programs. It's not that. I mean, it's a very fine point, but it's a clear point, I think. All right? We heard a call. We chose to come here.
Yeah.
And we risked everything to be here. And I don't really want to go into it today, Claudia, because this will get too long. But I would like to do a series of videos right now to talk about collapsing timelines.
Oh, yeah.
To talk about the smart grid, to talk about consciousness, and also would really, really want to get deep into what's being shown on our Earth plane right now as far as our origin. And this is one thought for those who have not picked it up yet. There was a time on this planet, and it wasn't so very long ago. Now, this is a enigma of time, if you will. It wasn't very long ago that we, the people from the different root races, spoke a common language. One could call it the song, the language of song, or love. The fact that this is coming back up through the field right now and being exposed, to me indicates that the human consciousness is now preparing itself to actually embrace that again. And so, to me, that has given me the greatest lift of spirit, because it is spirit. It's like there are those who are here, who were called, who answered the call, who have been abused, who have been programmed. And you know what, friends, just let me say this too, because I like to run on the mouth. But let me just say this. I've spoken of like these really severe programming of MK Ultra, satanic ritual abuse, and of that nature, right? But each being that's here right now, that's carrying this call in their heart, is programmed accordingly. That means there are many of you out there that are still programmed in the matrix. You're programmed in the false light of the matrix of doing good, being better, paying your taxes, signing your contracts, paying your debts on time, you know, the programming of television, the programming on the internet right now is like off the charts. If you're not aware, you're being programmed. So just think of it that way. There's no better or worse or more or higher or lower. Every program that comes into us is in accord with who we uniquely are. Does that make sense?
Yeah, to me it does. Absolutely.
And, it's just exciting to be talking again.
Yes, actually it is.
I know. It's a very, Claudia and I talked about this quite a lot during these past months, is that it's like silence. Do not speak until you know. You see, we've all been kind of speculating. We've all had pieces of the puzzle. We've all put out, either videos, or we've talked to our family or our friends or whatever we do, and it's been based on partial gnosis. Well, we're still in partial gnosis because gnosis is never finished. Mm-hmm. So it's like we have this massive library, we call it the internet, or maybe you've got all of thousands of books in your home, however that goes for each individual, right? Some of those books resonated, right? Some pieces of that information came into us and they resonated in our field. And I felt for us, Claudia, like we've put out videos very honest, very open, very truthful, right? Yet that field from a year and a half ago is now larger. It's more expanded. It's more complete. And so I've wanted to just be very careful about the use of my words. It's like, I'm not going to put anything out here as fact. I'm not going to put anything out here as I know and you don't, therefore I'm going to tell you about it, which is what so many of the internet folks do.
It's getting very old.
Oh, boring. So, these are just, I think when I'm speaking, I'm always speaking to myself, number one. Okay, number one. And at the same time, it's the words that come out of me are meant to inspire. They're meant to inspire whoever that hears them. Wherever you're standing right now, question everything. Wherever you're standing right now, go back and revisit some of the things that you saw, read, or chose to believe as truth. Right? Keep it going. And my little phrase these days is turn it around and inside out again and again and again. Okay, this process, okay? This is a never ending, and right at the center point is core. And if you allow yourself, if you get into that fluid motion where everything is in that field, which is the torus, which is every atom in our body, which is every planetary body, which is every speck of matter, which is everything, is this fluid energy. And being able to maintain oneself in that aspect when you have to go out and do a job in the world, when you are called to, comply and obey, becomes a very inner work. This is the inner work. This is the deep inner alchemical work. And like you said, Claudia, and I just say it again, you open up wonderland. You open up awe. You open up grace. You open up sublime. And it doesn't happen overnight. You're right, it doesn't. That's the gift of grace. Grace can come in when you're expanded enough, when you're open enough, all right, when you're let go of enough to allow it in. And then you know what happens? You know what happens, right, Claudia?
Mm-hmm.
It's all the programs come, you know, they come right back, right?
Yeah.
Oh, this one's going free.
Okay.
This one's going free. Oh, let's see how we can, you know, and so it compacts one again. Get back in. Get back in. Where's the truth of you? Wait a minute. You know, am I listening to all those false voices, those false gods, those programmed responses? Or can I get back in here? And I mean, I think that's really all I have to say today, Claudia. I've got so much going on that it's, I think it has to be taken in bits and, you know, one step at a time here.
Yeah. Yeah. But when I tend to do that too, when something looks like a Herculean task, I go on my 5-minute rule, deal with something for 5 minutes and then do something else.
Mm-hmm.
And that way you never get overly overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's like focus is inner. It's, you know, if you think of it, and, you know, you and I and others, but you and I specifically in our quest, let's call it our quest for truth, right? The unremitted, relentless request for truth. The image that comes, and it's, you know, we can take one image, one symbol right now. Every symbol is living when you take it in and it becomes a living truth in you. Okay, otherwise it's a flat thing on a piece of paper or on a screen somewhere, right? And each one is its own mystery. Each one is its completeness. Is a sword. Is a sword, right? And the sword can be also be raised, okay? It can be a call to justice. It can be a call to rightness. It can be in alignment with the Northern Pole Star, right? There's many ways to look at the sword, right? The outer expression of that sword. It's a dual-edged sword. It cuts both ways. Truth always cuts both ways. If I say something and it's not true in me, I am going to have the full-on repercussions of speaking a lie, a deception of any nature. I've been aware of this for years. Every word I write is a challenge to me. All right. It's not like I'm out there saying, oh, this and that, and the other thing, and this is also groovy, fine. No. All right. It cuts both ways. And then when the inner sword of truth, okay, Excalibur, okay, and these, I'm not saying these words superficially. Excalibur, okay, when that sword of truth is your inner alignment, okay, it goes straight up through the earth, up your spinal column, up the back, and it is your alignment. Okay, and when that is steeled, you cannot be, you become in a way invincible, incorruptible, because you are now aligned with truth. You're now aligned with truth. And that is something that I cannot give to anybody else. That is something I cannot impart to anybody else. This is the inner work. This is the alchemical work. This is what all the mystics, I'm going to say it again, all the alchemists, all the true seers have been saying in everything. It's simple in its meaning, okay? It is very simple in its meaning. It's
a very individual process, and not, I don't think any two people will go through it in the same way, because we all start at a different point.
Yep.
And we all have to pick and choose. When we come across something, we might not be ready to look at it, and that's okay.
Yeah,
and absolutely okay.
Speak a little of the orchestration, Claudia, of the conducting of the spheres right now, okay? Because when we start to see in spheres, okay, we're not seeing on the flat plane, we're not even seeing in duality anymore, we're not seeing in 3D anymore. The spheres.
No, we just hear it, because the universe is made out of sound. I mean, that's how it started. And you can tune into that, and it's never out of tune. But we do experience disharmony or discord, but it's never out of tune. And we can bring it back to harmony through truth. Because ultimately lies will become destroyed because there's no substance there. So they don't need to exist, and therefore eventually they will stop existing.
Mm-hmm.
And the fewer lies there are, the more harmonics there will be.
Mm-hmm.
And that is then what raises what we call frequency.
Mm-hmm. So true. So the fewer lies that there are, the higher the frequency, the more harmony.
Mm-hmm.
And one has to also speak to themselves. The fewer lies I tell myself, the fewer deceptions I give myself. That's where it starts. And as that frequency, I mean, we speak in frequency and resonance, all right? We're all energy, you know, nobody can deny that at this point, you know, it's all energy. And so you pay attention to your own energy, your own garden, you tend to the self. And as those frequencies change in you, you have access. Okay, you're given access. It's like walking through a doorway. Can I walk through this doorway? Do I have access here? Are those doors open? And when you get to a certain place, you realize that this is all being conducted. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
There is a great, I'm not going to give it a word. Okay, it's a mystery. Okay, this is all being played. And if you have to take it from your cell to the outer self, to the world realm, to the spherical realm of our solar system and beyond. And that's when we go free, because that's when we hear. We hear with our eyes and we see with our ears. Turn that one around.
Yep, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. So, Claudia, it's been wonderful as always, and it's nice to hear you.
It has. I enjoyed this.
I know. I'm just going
to do more often, you know.
I know. A little anecdote. For the first time ever, I think in all of existence, the other day we were talking, you talked more than I did.
Oh my goodness.
I know.
Excuse me while I faint.
I know. I love everybody. I love everything. Find it everywhere, friends, in everything you touch, and every word you speak, and everything you hear. Take down those barriers. Get rid of those false beliefs. Quit lying to yourselves. The truth is inside.
I'll just second your words.
You'll just what?
I'll just second your words.
Okay. Love you, Claudia. Well, I'd like to do this once again, maybe next week again, get a little deeper into some things. And I'm going to also propose, you know, publicly, we've talked about it for years, but if anybody's interested in sharing the field with us, let us know. All right. Thank you.
Yep.
Love you.
Love you. Bye.